So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life when the words time.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on another episode of
American
Timelines.
I'm Amy.
And I'm Joe. And together we are the greatest American couple in the world.
That's a little much.
Oh, okay, it might be a little bit much. Welcome to episode 6
Yes.
of American Timelines.
1995.
This week we talk about the year 1995. That's right, 1995. But before we get into 1995, as always, many of our listeners have pointed out some mistakes we've made, errors, things we've said that
Gross incompetencies.
things we've said that aren't true. Some are just flat
bullshit.
out lies.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just say things
Yep.
just to piss people off.
That's
But
true, too.
we always try to go back and correct them so that people keep listening. Sometimes it's a tactic. You know, if you
could
lie,
be.
they're going to listen next week to see if you correct it. So, without further ado, here are our corrections and apologies. Okay, I've added something to corrections and apologies. It's corrections, apologies, and clarifications.
Oh, okay.
I am guilty of a lot of times just mentioning people's names as if everyone in the world knows who Steve Bishop and Brian McCartney and Drew Conley are, which they don't. But if I give a short little description of who they are and why they're relevant to the story, it can be funny if we end up leaving it in. So,
Okay.
Brian McCartney we talked about because he was appalled about you ordering cheese fries
From Minnie Minoso.
Minnie Minoso. I said that he was a Chicago Cubs great,
Oh.
which I assumed. I did not know he was not a Chicago Cub. He was a Chicago White Sox,
Oh, okay.
which is on the south side of Chicago.
That's
but we
right.
did see him, as I vaguely remembered. It was like I felt like we saw him.
Yeah, we were pretty hammered.
Yeah, we were hammered a lot when we lived in Chicago. We drank a lot of beer.
Pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. So I was beginning to doubt myself. Like maybe I didn't see him, but I know we were at a bar on the north
were
side,
at
which
the
was
Cubby Bear.
Sluggers.
Oh, I thought we were at the Cubby Bear.
Remember there was the Cubby Bear and there were Sluggers?
Oh, that's
and
right.
they were both
Yeah.
close by. I distinctly remembered you seeing this guy just sitting in the kitchen. He was just sitting in the kitchen, so you would assume he's a cook or something.
Yeah.
And you asked him for cheese fries, and Brian was appalled. Now, Brian listened back to the podcast, and he said, first of all, he did not play for the Cubs, you idiot. He played for the White Sox. And Brian's a huge baseball fan.
guy.
He's the guy who... So Brian is a good friend of ours. We moved to Chicago, didn't know anybody. We had mutual friends, and he contacted us, and luckily took us under his wing. And he was a fellow theater person who loved sports. So we got along really well. So we got to... And they like to drink, so that helped. I started thinking maybe we didn't see him. And if he played for the White Sox, why would he be in a Cubs bar? But I looked up, I Googled him. He recently passed away, Minnie Minoso, rest in peace. But I found a thing online during his obituary about somebody saying that, yes, he used to hang out at Sluggers.
Sluggers, yep.
And he would hang out in the kitchen and just,
Yeah.
he didn't own it. I thought he owned it.
Yeah.
He didn't own it or anything. He just hung out there.
Oh.
And they would give him free food. The reason why Brian doesn't remember the Sluggers incident is that he thought the only time he saw him was at a Chicago White Sox park at a game at the White Sox. He was lucky enough to get invited to sit in scout seats right behind home plate for one game. It's all you can eat food and all you can drink beers there. It's awesome.
Wow.
He said Minnie Minoso was sitting at the bar by himself at the end. He asked the bartender if that was him, and he confirmed it. The bartender told him that Minnie Minoso was there for every single home game. He eats, drinks, then packs up a meal to go.
Oh.
He had no money. All he had was his fame. He was a Hall of Famer with his number retired and everything, but he played at a time when they didn't get paid much.
Oh, that's sad.
He never had a ticket to the game, but everyone just let him in to eat and have a few beers and pack up the meal for the next day. Every game, that's what he did. And
I wonder what he did when it wasn't baseball season, like what he did.
Well, I think we saw him when it wasn't baseball
Yeah,
season. So Brian said he probably hung out at Sluggers because they let him in.
Yeah.
And people would buy him drinks and get him food. So he was probably sitting back there because he got free food. So when you came up and said, "Can I get some damn cheese fries?" What are you doing sitting there?
I didn't say that.
Yeah, I know
like
you didn't say
that.
Like that. But he wanted to help.
Yeah.
Because he probably thought, all I'm doing is sitting here. So
yeah.
That's a really sad story.
That's so sad.
That's what happened to the poor guy. And he was an amazing baseball player.
Yeah.
Corrections and apologies.
Do you remember when we talked about the blobs in Oakville,
Yep.
Washington that were falling from the sky.
Either had human cells in them or whatever.
So this was in August of 94. There was a rainstorm, blobs of translucent gelatinous substance, each half the size of grains of rice. So they're smaller blobs
they're
than
little.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
They fell at a farmhouse of sunny Barcliff. Shortly afterwards, his mother, Dottie Hearn, was rushed to the hospital suffering from dizziness and nausea. And Barcliff and a friend also suffered minor bouts of fatigue and nausea after handling the blobs. However,
Ooh, aliens.
yeah, that's weird, but the doctor who treated them expressed doubt that their symptoms were due to the blobs and appeared instead to have been caused by an inner ear condition. All three of them with
Yeah,
that's weird.
That is weird.
It was reported that Sonny's kitten had died after the contact with the blobs,
Oh, man.
following a battle with severe intestinal problems prior to the incident.
Well, the cat was probably eating it.
Yeah, that's what you assume.
Yeah.
It probably tasted delicious.
Ew.
The blobs were confirmed to have fallen a second time at that same farm, but no one got ill the second time. Several attempts were made to identify the blobs, with Barcliff initially asking her mother's doctor to run tests on the substance at the hospital. The doctor obliged and reported that it contained human white blood cells. So that's where the human white blood cells came
okay.
from. He also managed to persuade Mark Osweiler of the Washington State Department of Ecology's Hazardous Material Spills Response Unit to examine the substance.
You'd think the CDC would be out there.
Yeah, I don't know. While white blood cells contain nuclei, further examination by Osweiler staff reported that the blobs contain cells that lack this cellular structure. So it's kind of like two different stories. So which is right and what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the theories that cropped up at the time, and this is where it gets fun. A popular theory with the townsfolk at the time was the jellyfish theory. This postulated that the blobs were the result of bombing runs by the military in the ocean 50 miles away from the farm, causing an explosion with a smack of jellyfish, which were then dispersed into a rain cloud. The theory was so popular with the townsfolk that there was discussion of holding a jellyfish festival, and the local tavern even came up with a new drink in honor of the incident called the jellyfish, composed of vodka, gelatin, and juice.
Gross.
Yeah, it'd be so gross.
Yeah.
Another theory was that the blobs were drops of concentrated fluid waste from an airplane toilet.
Ew. That's really gross.
But Barcliff contacted the FAA about that, and they rebuffed that idea, saying that all commercial plane toilet fluids are dyed blue, and these blobs weren't blue.
So they didn't say, no, we don't drop it out of the plane in the sky.
Yeah,
they just said, it's just not blue.
Right.
Oh, God.
They didn't say that, so
That's pretty gross.
I guess that happens.
Yeah, I guess they do.
I've never once thought about what happens.
I haven't either. You'd think they would empty it like a Johnny on the spot or something and take it off, like the poop truck,
Just think about that stuff flying everywhere.
I know. Let's hope that's not.
And how many stories people have told you about diarrhea on a plane.
I know. Oh.
So it's all from Wikipedia and popculture.us.
Corrections and apologies.
Last episode, when I was going on and on about how you should get to murder someone based on how many touchdowns you have.
Right.
There's the flaw in my logic was OJ didn't even have 100 touchdowns.
Oh, he didn't.
He had a lot of yards. He had 2,000 yards. He had a 2,000 yard season, the first one. He didn't have a lot. That
distinction means nothing to me.
Yeah, he did have 61 touchdowns, but not 100. And he had 14 receiving
So now
touchdowns.
you're changing your story to, if you get this many yards, you can kill somebody.
No, I think I'm actually saying OJ. I still think it's touchdowns. I think OJ just shouldn't have been able to murder somebody.
Okay.
So that's the only reason he should not murder. He didn't have enough touchdowns.
Okay.
So that's all the corrections and apologies that I had. Did you have any corrections and apologies?
I don't apologize.
Oh, boom.
So that's that.
Boom.
Yeah. All right. So what happened in 1995?
1995.
Oh, Jesus.
1995.
All right.
95, y'all. We all are aware of the difficulties we had last week trying to get the world-renowned factologist Armand Crisp, but we think we have him back. All the issues from last week are settled. His dog is taken care of.
Let's try this again. Yeah.
There's no more. Unfortunately, he had a lot of pus in his mouth last week.
Jeez.
And now I think he's got no distractions, and he's going to help us. Armand Crisp is known for having facts for every year. So now we're on 1995. So, Mr. Crisp, are you there?
9-9. This is Wolf Hammerstein. Armand had to be somewhere else, so I am a friend, and I am also, how you say, factologist. I'm from the University.
You're.
University of Facts in Heidelberg. I got my degree in facts, so I am taking over for Armand, and for today's show, I have the facts for you. Yes, and I got to tell you, I love Amerikanische Zeitleinen. He's American timelines. He's one of the favorites in Germany. We love it. And we love you, Grover Cleveland Steamer, and you, Amy. And I have to tell you, Grover, my wife and I tried a Cleveland Steamer the other night. She enjoyed it immensely. I thought it was a little bit too tangy because, I do not like fish, and so it was not very good.
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot of information.
Thank you. Great. It's great to have you, Wolf. Please give our regards to Mr. Crisp, but we're glad to have you.
I think he has problems with his dog again.
That's what we gathered from
more with the dog, huh?
From last week.
Well, can you help us with 1995?
1995, yes, I have some notes on such things. 1995. In 1995, in Germany, was the debut of the famous show Gustav und Gruber. And now what this was, it was two puppets. One was a cinder block, and the other was a bratwurst.
A bratwurst.
A cinder block and a bratwurst?
Sounds great.
Yeah. And they talked about things like hygiene and posture and work efficiency, all the things that kids enjoy. And it's still going to this day.
The kids enjoy that.
I think a new guy is playing the cinder block, though. Okay, that is fact number one about Germany. Fact number two from...
This is American timelines, though.
Well, excuse me, I hate to interrupt, but this is actually American timelines, not German timelines.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I only have German facts. I have a couple of more, though, if you're interested. They're very good facts.
Yeah, maybe hit us with a couple. Yeah.
Do you remember Klaus Meine from the Scorpions, the lead singer?
Yes, the Scorpions.
He
yes.
had a number one hit. It was called Ich habe eine Rot Bleistift. And translated, that means I have a red pencil. And it went sort of like this. I have a red pencil, you have a pencil case. Let's go to my apartment and I'll write on your face. And so on, so on.
Scorpion song.
It was the number one song for 89 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, 89 weeks.
So that's like well into 96 then.
Yeah, it spanned. It spanned the decade there.
No, that's a really good one.
Okay, and then the third fact I had for you, and this is not very known by a lot of people. Helmut Kohl was the Chancellor of Germany in 1995, and he went to the G7 summit, and he won the breath-holding contest between all the leaders. He held his breath for 5 minutes. That's very good.
Did he get brain damage from that?
I could not do it. Oh, I wouldn't say. Yeah, he's very smart, man.
Yeah, I wasn't aware there were breath-holding contests at this.
Well, they do lots of fun stuff. I believe they play kick the can, maybe.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's good.
I don't know. But those were my facts.
Wow,
for 1995.
That's very interesting.
Okay.
I'm sure we could Google those to kind of verify them too.
Oh, sure. You'd have to use Henrik, not Google. That's the German. The German lookup. No, it's
that's the
Henrik.
German Google, I assume.
You go. Oh, do you know what that is? Go to the Henrik, and we look it up. Not everything is Google.
I guess you're right.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's been great to have you.
Anyway, I don't really have anything else to say to you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And
please give our regards to Armand Crisp. And
we hope his dog feels better.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Wolf Hammerstein, renowned German factologist. Politics in 1995. Mm-hmm. You're not going to believe this.
Okay.
While visiting Washington, D.C., Russian President Boris Yeltsin was found on Pennsylvania Avenue, drunk, in his underwear, and trying to hail a cab in order to find pizza.
No way.
Yeah.
In his underwear?
In his underwear.
Oh, my God.
Man, I'd buy that for $1.
What?
I'd like to see Boris Yeltsin in his underpants.
Buy that for $1.
So we think that Putin's so crazy. Yeltsin, I think, was just as crazy.
Well, no, Putin's evil.
Yeah, but he's always shirtless, riding a horse.
Yeah,
and
but
stuff.
he's evil. Like Yeltsin, I think, was just drunk all the time.
Yeah, I
but
think he was pretty
Putin
bad.
is just the devil. Like he's very nefarious.
Well, he's our president, so
yeah, that's true.
We better take that back.
He's our president's butt lover.
Yeah, butt buddy. People don't say butt buddy.
Butt buddy anymore.
Trump and Putin are butt buddies.
Yeah, they are.
95, y'all.
How about a computer? An Apple Macintosh computer? You want to guess what it
Oh.
cost in 1995? A Mac.
Oh, it was probably like $300, $400, something like that.
Well, hold on to your underpants
Oh boy.
because it was $2,099.
Wow. Because it was just brand new
In
technology.
1995, think about
Yeah.
remember those big Mac
Giant things.
Mac
Yep.
iMacs and stuff?
Well, those were later.
Those were a little bit later, but still, nobody had a computer.
Yeah. So.
You couldn't afford one. I remember
Right.
nobody had one. I had
That's right.
I had a Brother word processor
Yeah.
in
Yep,
95.
I remember those.
Because that was affordable, but you couldn't afford a computer. Nobody had $2,000.
Nobody did.
95, y'all.
The 95 World Series.
Yeah.
It was the 91st edition of Major League Baseball's Championship Series. And the winner of the World Series that year was the NL champion Atlanta Braves. And they beat the Cleveland Indians from the AL. What was remarkable about this was they won in 6 games, captured it was their 3rd World Series championship in franchise history. Now listen to this. It's the Atlanta Braves
Yeah.
won their 3rd championship in franchise history, along with the 1914 Boston Braves and the 1957 Milwaukee Braves, making them the first team to win 3 crowns in 3 different cities.
Okay. The Braves. Got it.
So the Atlanta Braves were in Boston.
Yep.
And they moved to Milwaukee, which I didn't even know that the Braves were ever in Milwaukee. And then they won their 3rd in Atlanta. So no team has ever won 3 crowns in 3 different cities. Football, the Super Bowl was between the San Francisco 49ers and the San Diego Chargers.
Okay.
You know who won?
No. Why would I know who won?
Do you care?
No.
Well, the 49ers defeated the Chargers by the score of 49-26, and they were the first team to win 5 Super Bowls. So, of course,
And the first team to win at the amount that they were named.
What?
Like, they're 49ers, and they won 49.
to 26.
Yeah.
That's probably
That's true.
that's
'cause-
probably the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Because there's never been another like that. There's
There's-
not the 26ers
You're right.
or the 30
So that's true.
Warriors.
That's right. I'm right. I
Actually,
know.
they probably never
I
scored
know a
for-
lot about football.
You're a genius.
Yep.
But the big story about that year was it was the year that Steve Young for the 49ers, he finally leapt out of the shadow of his predecessor, Joe Montana.
I'm so glad you went to Wikipedia and you got more information about sports.
But here's the part about the Super Bowl you'll care about.
Okay.
Kathy Lee Gifford sang the national anthem.
Why would I care about that?
You love the national anthem and you love Kathy Lee.
Neither thing do I love.
You watch Kathy Lee and Hoda every morning.
I do not.
Yeah,
I
you do.
work. I have a
You
job.
DVR it.
No, I don't.
You want to know who did the coin toss?
No,
Okay, I won't tell you then.
I don't care.
Guess what? America doesn't get to hear it either. Do you want to know who played the halftime show? You care about that?
Michael Jackson.
No, that was last year.
Oh,
Tony Bennett, Patti LaBelle, Arturo Sandoval, and the Miami Sound Machine.
the Miami Sound Machine. They were terrible.
Isn't
Do that conga, no, you take it to yourself any longer.
that Gloria Estefan?
Yeah,
She was with the Miami Sound
yeah,
Machine?
she was.
Oh. It doesn't say Gloria Estefan, just the machine.
That was the name of it. Yeah.
Just the machine was there, apparently, not her.
95, y'all.
The cool thing is every year in wrestling, the beginning of the year, they have something called the Royal Rumble. Do you know what the Royal Rumble is?
Well, I've heard you blather on about it before, so
So what do you think it is then?
it's some kind of homoerotic festival of shirtless guys hugging.
You're close.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah.
It's a vicious battle
Okay.
of 30 warriors. And
Warriors.
the winner of this giant battle, every starts with 2 men in the ring,
Yeah.
and every 2 minutes another man joins them.
Okay.
They pick their numbers at random,
Yeah.
and whoever wins this, and you get eliminated by getting thrown over the top rope.
Okay.
Whoever is the last person, whoever wins the Royal Rumble, gets to try to get the champion. Goes for the championship belt at WrestleMania now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that year, every year I'm going to tell you who won it and then what the WrestleMania main event was. Shawn Michaels won the Royal Rumble
Yeah.
that year when he eliminated the British Bulldog. Now, see, here's what happened. The British Bulldog threw Shawn Michaels over the top rope and then thought he won and was raising his hands in victory.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels, as he was flying over, he held onto the top rope and his feet never touched the floor. So he was just hanging from the top rope.
Yeah.
Davey Boy Smith, who was a British Bulldog, turned away, celebrated, got up on the top turnbuckle, was like raising his arms up like, oh, I won, this is great.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels flipped back into the ring and then knocked him over the top rope.
But
and
you know,
actually was
honey,
the winner.
it's all choreographed. It's not real, so that's not like that amazing because they choreograph the whole thing. They probably rehearse it.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not like it's an amazing thing that happened. It's an act.
Well, so was Days of Our Lives.
Right, but do you see what I'm saying? Like it's not.
It's exciting.
It's
thrilling for
no,
the fans.
it's not. All right.
Yeah, but we still don't know what it's like. It's like theater. Like,
Okay.
what are you gonna? It's like, so you're telling me I should stand up at Phantom of the Opera and scream, "He didn't really die. Chandelier didn't really fall. It's pretend."
All right. What's next?
Touche.
What's next?
Then that year was WrestleMania 11 in 1995, and it's highly regarded as the worst WrestleMania ever. It was in Hartford,
why?
Connecticut. Because the main event was a match between NFL linebacker Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow.
That's why it was the worst.
And Lawrence Taylor won the match. And it led to Bam Bam Bigelow being kicked out of Ted DiBiase's $1 million corporation. And Shawn Michaels faced the champion Diesel in a title match. But he didn't win the championship. But I think it's highly regarded as the worst WrestleMania because the match between Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow, it brought a lot of mainstream coverage to WWF, but the reactions were mixed. Some people thought, oh, wow, Lawrence Taylor actually did pretty good for a non-wrestler. Others thought the WWF pushing a football player to defeat a wrestler made professional wrestling look bad.
It's such a high-class event otherwise.
And another bit I'm going to keep in here every episode because I can't wait to hear the horses' names or the Kentucky Derby champion.
Okay. What's the horse's name?
You want to guess?
No.
God, you're terrible at guessing
I am.
horses.
Because how am I going to know?
Okay.
Seabiscuit is the only one I know.
Well, this one you'll be amazed because it's also your nickname, Thunder Gulch.
I don't think I appreciate that.
Okay, let's move on, Thunder Gulch. Now we have your name, your podcast name.
Nope.
Grover Cleveland Steamer and Thunder Gulch.
Nope.
95 y'all.
Thomas Grasso. His last meal before his execution was 24 mussels, 24 clams, a double cheeseburger, 6 ribs, 2 strawberry milkshakes, half a pumpkin pie, strawberries, and a can of SpaghettiOs.
Jeez. Why the can of SpaghettiOs?
His final statement was, I did not get my SpaghettiOs. I got spaghetti. I want the press to know this.
Jeez.
He was pissed.
Why would you want to eat all that before you die?
Well, you're going to die, so what the hell? Might as well get the last flavors of your life.
Might as well have somebody have to clean all that out.
He was probably just eating it real fast, knowing he's going to die. He's not going to have the indigestion. So just all the flavors. And maybe he didn't eat all. Maybe like
they probably just
bites
take a
of it.
bite of everything,
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't know.
95 y'all.
A Tokyo subway sarin attack took place?
Oh, yeah, Aum
Is that how
Shinrikyo.
you say that? Sarin?
Sarin gas, yeah. That was
Sarin-
Aum Shinrikyo.
Oh, you know about this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a cult in Japan.
Yeah. Tokyo subway sarin attack took place in which 12 died and over 4,000 were injured. Many
Yeah.
permanently.
They botched it, or it would have been much, much worse.
The attack was perpetrated by
Aum Shinrikyo.
Aum Shinrikyo, a doomsday cult.
Yes.
You know of that, huh?
Yes.
Why do you know about that? You just remember that?
Last podcast on the left, baby.
Oh.
But they do like a 4-parter on Aum Shinrikyo, and it's fascinating. I mean, it was a bad, that cult was crazy.
Really?
Like worse than anything worse than Jim Jones ever was.
Last podcast on the left, if you haven't heard of it, we'd like to recommend that.
Yeah, that's the best
so-
podcast.
So
Much better than this one.
well, let them know that you heard about them through us.
Yeah.
We'd like to help people out.
Right. Yeah, right.
We'd like to help podcasts that are just starting
Yeah.
to get going.
95 y'all.
Convicted killer Daniel Luther Heiss discovered that the key pictured on his prisoner's information handbook was the master key for the whole prison. Fellow inmate Shane Baker, a trained jeweler, replicated it and both escaped.
Wait, read that again.
They each got a prisoner's information handbook,
Okay.
and pictured on the handbook was the master key for the whole prison. They had a picture of it.
So what did they do?
That a fellow inmate of Daniel Luther Heiss, Shane Baker, was a trained jeweler.
So he made
He
one.
replicated it from the
Wow.
picture
Why would they have a picture of the master key?
because they're fucking idiots.
And what happened? Then they get out.
They both escaped.
95 y'all.
The 1995 Chicago heat wave killed 739 people,
Whoa, that's a lot of people.
more than the Great Fire of 1871.
Holy moly. I didn't know that.
Remember being real hot in 95? I don't remember.
Not particularly.
I don't really remember.
We didn't get to Chicago till 99, so.
Well, we were in Chicago, but it would have been hot everywhere.
I know.
Up north where we're from.
Yeah. That's over 700 people. That's a lot.
A man named Scott Amador was murdered by an acquaintance, Jonathan Schmitz, after Scott admitted he had feelings for Jonathan in the Jenny Jones show.
Oh, I heard about that.
The show never aired.
Yep. It was like, you know how Jenny Jones, she was like Donahue or Geraldo or whatever. Yeah. One of those shows.
I barely remember her.
And
Jenny Jones, she had blonde hair.
And the guy felt humiliated because they were friends, and the other guy admitted his feelings for him, and so he killed him.
Gosh.
Yep. I heard about that one.
I never heard about that. Phil Donahue ended in 95, by the way.
95, y'all.
The Washington NBA team called the Bullets, the Washington Bullets, changed their name to the Wizards because of the notoriously high murder rate in Washington, D.C. at the time it became official with the 1997 season.
Do you remember that? Them being called the Bullets?
You know what? Honestly, I'll admit, I didn't know they had a team. I thought the Washington Wizards were an expansion team. I remember becoming aware of the Washington Wizards in like probably 2002 when I went to D.C. and we went to a game. Michael Jordan was like part owner or something then.
Oh, okay.
And so we went to a Washington Wizards game because we were in D.C. and I will admit I thought they were an expansion team because I don't remember hearing of them.
You idiot.
But they were the Bullets before that. I didn't know that because I don't care about NBA much.
Yeah.
But I do, now that I read this, I kind of remember the Washington Bullets.
95, y'all.
MacArthur Wheeler robbed 2 Pittsburgh banks with lemon juice on his face.
What?
Since lemon juice makes for invisible ink, he thought it would render his face invisible on camera.
That's so stupid.
He was caught that night.
An idiot. What a dumbass.
MacArthur Wheeler's a dumbass. What a dumbass. We're going to find a picture of him and post it on our website, historyforjerks.com.
We'll have to do that.
Because that guy's a dumbass.
Yeah.
Dumbass MacArthur Wheeler.
He thought his face would be invisible. God.
Dumbass. Okay, see if you remember this.
Okay.
This happened April 12th of 1995.
Okay.
Drew Barrymore was on David Letterman. Do you remember what she did?
Yeah, she showed him her boobs.
Yeah, she table danced for David Letterman on his talk show, and with her back to the audience, flashed
her
Dave
boobs
by lifting up her shirt.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, because you could see some side boob.
Yeah, you could.
And that was great.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with side boob or front boob or anything.
All right.
And Drew Barrymore is an attractive gal. And you know, here's the thing. You automatically know that I think she's attractive because you looked like her.
I did.
When I met you. And
that's right.
So if I'm attracted to you, I must be attracted to her. Also, the same reason I always think it's weird. I think twins are weird. If you're ever dating a twin or if you marry a twin, that twin's sister knows that you think she's hot.
Yep, that's right.
No matter what. Because they look exactly the same. You get a boner for one, you get a boner for both of them. So twins that you're listening, you're fucking weirdos.
Why are the twins weird? It's you who's weird.
No, all twins are fucking freaks.
No.
Fucking weird freaks.
No.
You're really one person. There's just another one of you walking around. It's like if you lost your arm and it was walking around.
That's not true.
Out in public, getting a separate job.
What about those Siamese twins that have just like an extra head growing out of the back of their neck?
That's hot.
It's hot. You think?
Bang that.
Right.
Bang them. So we've now lost all twins as our audience.
It's true.
Twins, Marsha Heaton fans.
The KKK.
The KKK. Patricia Heaton.
We're going to get into some more white supremacist groups that will probably drop off after my section here.
Honestly, we don't need them. And I don't think they listen. I don't know if they know what a podcast is anyway.
That's true.
95, y'all.
Marlon Brando, as a guest on Larry King Live, kissed a surprised Larry on the mouth.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You hear that whole thing that recently came out about Marlon Brando and Richard Pryor?
No, but talk more into your beer glass because that's a great sound.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear that? This is a delicious Hop Slam.
All right, stop it.
Hop Slam by Bell's Brewery.
I was being
sarcastic.
sarcastic.
Delicious beer of all time.
All right, what happened to Marlon Brando?
Good beer. You hear about Marlon Brando and Richard Pryor? It just recently came out in 2018.
No, I did not. What?
Richard Pryor's wife. I think she published a book or something. No. It was Quincy Jones said this, and Richard Pryor's wife confirmed it, that Richard Pryor and Marlon Brando banged each other.
We're lovers.
They had sex. They weren't lovers. They just had sex.
That's what lovers are.
Well, lovers are like a relationship that people like make love to each other more than once. I think they just like were on so many drugs they banged each other.
Okay.
Like you can just bang somebody and not be lovers with them.
All right.
They effed.
Okay.
So, but anyway, Marlon Brando kissed Larry King live. I would like to watch that.
Do you remember? Do you know what he looked like in 1995?
Larry King?
No, both of them.
Oh, Marlon Brando's a big fat guy.
I know.
And
You would like to watch that?
Larry King.
You would like to watch him kissing Larry
God,
King?
Yeah.
Yuck.
I mean, no offense, but every time I kiss you, I picture Larry King and Marlon Brando kissing.
Okay, what's
That's
next?
hot.
What
Chicks
next?
would dig that too.
No, chicks
Young
don't dig
chicks.
that. No.
A lot of millennials, they're hot for Larry King and
Yeah.
Marlon Brando.
All right.
95, y'all.
Cindy Crawford and husband Richard Gere, who had a gerbil stuck up his ass,
No.
took out a full-page ad.
Oh my God.
They took out a full-page ad in the London Times to proclaim their heterosexuality.
What? They did that?
The 1994 marriage ended in 95. Still straight, they say.
Who cares? I guess back then Richard Gere was real insecure about the rumors that went around about him.
Well, it's got to be true then, right?
No.
Do you think were they
There's no gerbil.
Were they Scientologists?
No. But it sounds like something Scientologists would do, but no.
I just wonder because Scientology is famous for arranging
anti-gay.
they just arrange marriages for gay guys.
Well, they're against gays too.
Well, yeah, but I think they know that John Travolta and Tom Cruise are gay, and so they arrange
marriages for them.
with hot chicks to make everyone think they're straight.
Right.
So, but it's probably not just Scientology that does it. I think in Hollywood, especially then when homophobia was still so rampant,
right?
Somebody like Richard Gere,
he was like a sex symbol,
like
or
his
whatever.
career would be over if everybody knew he was gay.
Right.
So, who's he going to marry? Cindy Crawford,
Somebody
the hottest
really
chick
hot.
in the world.
That's right.
And so, what does Cindy Crawford get out of it? I don't know. Does it just like elevate her fame?
Maybe she's gay too. Who knows?
That'd be hot.
God.
95, y'all.
Mississippi didn't ratify the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery until March 16th,
What?
1995.
Oh no, you're kidding.
Oh, God, that just sunk my heart.
Yeah.
I just lost my boner.
You had a boner this whole time?
Yeah.
That's a little weird.
That made me lose it. That sucks.
It's back from the Marlon Brando, Larry King conversation.
Ugh, yeah, that's what. Yeah, that gave me a boner. Celebrity paralyzed. So we've had the
Celebrity
airplane death. We had the
celebrity car crash.
Comedian car crash.
Celebrity on the set death.
Yes, this is the celebrity paralyzed by a horse.
Christopher Reeve.
Yes.
Jeez.
Christopher Reeve starred in the film Above Suspicion, in which he played a quadriplegic character, and premiered 6 days before his horse riding accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
That's crazy.
That's really weird.
He was paralyzed by a horse. I remember that. That was
But I didn't know he was in a movie about being quadriplegic before that.
I didn't either. And he was just like, I don't know what number in a long line of tragic stories about Superman.
Yeah,
people.
Superman curse.
Dean Cain's only curse is that his career sucks.
Yep, that's right.
Poor Dean Cain.
95, y'all.
Rock musician heart failure death.
Oh.
1995. You know who the rock musician heart failure death was?
Somebody died of heart failure that was a rock musician?
Yep.
It was a man.
Mm-hmm. How do you picture most people that die of heart failure?
Old.
Also.
Fat.
Yep.
Meatloaf? No, he's probably still alive.
He's still alive, I think.
I don't know.
Old in 95. Old and fat.
I don't know.
Jerry Garcia.
Oh, right. That's right.
In fact, he's so old and fat that they named ice cream after him.
Yep.
95, y'all.
During the 1995 O.J. Simpson trial, all the network's news broadcasts gave more airtime to the details of that case than to the Bosnian War and the Oklahoma City bombing combined. So many people, over 100 million, were watching, listening to the O.J. Simpson verdict, that long-distance calls declined by 58%, trading on the New York Stock Exchange decreased by 41%, water usage decreased, and there was an estimated $480 million in lost productivity due to work stopping.
Oh, my God.
Isn't that crazy?
Just for the verdict
Just for the
being read.
O.J. verdict.
Wow.
that Steve Bishop and I were high-fiving it.
It's weird that there's that much productivity in just that, 15 minutes or whatever it is that
It
took.
cost that much money.
Yeah, that it cost that much money.
And so people always estimate how much money is lost because of March Madness.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, because everybody goes to the bar. Dolly the clone sheep was born on July 5th of 95.
Okay.
And lived for 7 years. Remember that? The
Yep.
clone sheep?
I do.
I can't believe it was that long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, did you hear, speaking of cloned, in recent news,
Yeah.
what Barbara Streisand just admitted?
No.
She's had her dog cloned several times.
What?
Like her last 3 dogs have all been cloned from the same dog. She
That's
just keeps
bizarre. You
cloning
can
her
do
dog.
that?
Barbara Streisand can do that.
I didn't even know that they were to that level of cloning that they could.
Well, if you're Barbara Streisand, think how
Right.
much money she has.
Right. I'm just saying I didn't know scientists were at that level that
Well-
they could just clone willy-nilly like
Well,
that.
this makes me believe it. If 95 was the first time they actually cloned
A sheep
I mean, it's
by now.
2018.
Right.
I'm going to give Don McAllister shit about that.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
I love Barbara Streisand. Don McAllister is the greatest human ever. He's a retired first grade teacher that loves Barbara Streisand.
Yep.
And if you even try to tell him Barbara Streisand isn't great, he will cut you. And
That's
he gets
true.
furious. I love Barbara Streisand. I have all her albums. She's the greatest singer of all time.
95, y'all.
Oh, my God. This guy's my hero. New Mexico State Senator Duncan Scott introduced an amendment that psychologists were required to wear a wizard's hat when they testify in court. The amendment passed with a unanimous Senate vote, but was removed from its bill before consideration by the State House.
Oh,
So it
man.
never became law.
Oh, that sucks.
I
That would have been
know.
a riot.
That totally sucks.
Wizard's hat.
95, y'all.
Match.com started in 1995.
Oh, really? It's been around that long.
People have been meeting online since 1995. Auction Web began in San Jose, California on September 3rd, 1995.
It turned into eBay.
Yep, by Pierre Omidyar.
Yep.
It changed the name to eBay in September of 97. Cost of a Super Bowl ad in 1995?
950,000.
Nope.
Oh.
1,150,000.
Oh,
so
it really jumped.
It really jumped in 95. Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill album came out in 95.
That was a good album.
Did you like that?
Mm-hmm.
I went down on you and I theater.
Yep.
She's singing about Dave Coulier, if you didn't
That's
know
what
that.
I've heard.
Number 1 hits of 95 were I Need Kamosi, Here Come the Hot Stepper,
Oh,
I'm a
right.
Lyrical Gangsta. Remember that?
Yep.
TLC Creep, Madonna
Mhm.
Take a Bow, Montel
Mhm.
Jordan, This Is How We Do It, This Is How We
Mhm.
Do It. Brian Adams, Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman? Remember how bad that song
Yeah,
was?
that's awful.
TLC Waterfalls, Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls. Michael Jackson, You Are Not Alone.
Mhm.
Coolio, Gangsta's Paradise.
That was the video that Drew Barrymore was in with him.
Really?
Mm-hmm. The video she was in it with
I
him.
don't think so.
It's true.
I don't think Drew Barrymore.
They were married.
Drew Barrymore did not marry Michael Jackson.
Oh no. Lisa Marie Presley.
Yes,
That's what I'm thinking.
That's right.
That's what I'm thinking.
I was like, what are you talking about?
No, Lisa Marie Presley.
95, y'all.
But the 95 Video Music Awards, the award show was hosted by Dennis Miller
Yeah.
at Radio Music City Hall, and TLC and Weezer were the biggest winners of the night,
Mm-hmm.
each taking home 4 awards. TLC won the 2 main awards, Viewer's Choice Award and Video of the Year for Waterfalls,
Mm-hmm.
where they kind of turn into these, like the water turned into
Yeah.
them, and they're still so gorgeous, and
Yeah.
that song was cool. But
Yeah.
Weezer had the video for Buddy Holly, which you said you didn't remember. Ooh,
No.
wee, ooh.
I remember the song. I
that
just don't remember the
album was
video.
So great. Every song on that album's great, by the way. The Blue album. I had that in college, and we listened to it all the time. It was great. But in that video, they it looks like they're the band and playing for Happy Days. They spliced in the Happy Days
Right.
footage. It was kind of cool. The Grammy Awards was hosted by Paul Reiser that year. It was on
Mm-hmm.
March 1st. And the Grammy winners were, the record of the year was Sheryl Crow. All I want to do is have some fun.
Okay.
And I feel
All right.
I'm not the only one. Song of the year was Bruce Springsteen, Streets of Philadelphia. The Oscars that year were hosted by Dave Letterman.
Yeah.
And the best picture was Forrest Gump. So
That
it was
was
from
a
the
great-
year before.
Yeah.
95 is when they won it. Forrest Gump won everything, like best picture.
Yeah.
They won 6 awards that year.
Dive.
So what happened on April 19th, 1995?
April 19th, 1995, the top songs on the radio, when whatever you're about to talk about happened, the top songs were Montel Jordan's This Is How We Do It, TLC's Red Light Special, All Through the Night, Soul for Real, Candy Rain, Adina Howard, Freak Like Me, and Real McCoy, Run Away, Run Away. The top
Okay.
movies on April 19th of 95 were Friday,
Mm-hmm.
The Basketball Diaries,
Mm-hmm.
Bad Boys, which is the greatest movie ever, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. And did you know the role of Mike Lowry was destined for Arsenio Hall, but he
No, I
turned
did
it
not.
down?
I
and
did
he
not
was
know
a big
that.
mistake. And Tommy Boy was the big movie.
Okay, so shortly after 9 o'clock a.m. on April 19th, 1995, a Ryder rental truck with a 7,000-pound ammonium nitrate fuel bomb exploded with terrifying force in front of the 9-story Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in downtown Oklahoma City. So the Oklahoma City bombing occurred.
Oklahoma City bombing.
Yes, and it left 168 people dead and hundreds more injured. The blast was set off by anti-government militant Timothy McVeigh,
White domestic terrorist.
who in 2001 was executed for his crimes. His co-conspirator, Terry Nichols, was sentenced to life in prison. Until September 11th, 2001, the Oklahoma City bombing was the worst terrorist attack to take place on U.S. soil.
Let me ask
And it's
you-
interesting to me when you were talking about how the OJ trial was it just overshadowed everything in 95, and that was 2 people that died, whereas the Oklahoma City bombing was so much bigger.
all these people.
168 people dead.
Yeah.
But everybody cared about OJ.
That's
It's
all they
just,
talked about,
It's
OJ.
just weird.
I think because he was so famous. And is this the Unabomber?
No, that was Ted Kaczynski. This is
What
Timothy
did Ted
McVeigh.
Kaczynski do?
He mailed bombs in the mail to people.
And was that later?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
that's
I always
later.
thought this was the Unabomber, and then they
No.
found out who he was, and then they
No,
said
this is Timothy McVeigh.
everything mixed up.
So initially,
It is crazy that all these people died, and all we talk about is OJ. I think they were obsessed more with OJ being a superstar, and everybody knows who he
Yeah.
is, so you feel like you
it was
know
so
him.
weird.
And he was, even though he was Nordberg on Naked Gun, he was a sideline reporter. So everybody who watched football,
Knew him.
like it was like he was talking
Nobody
to you.
knew who this Timothy McVeigh guy was.
Nobody knew who he was. And honestly, in all of America, there's probably a huge percentage of our population that doesn't really know where Oklahoma is.
Well, that's true.
Is that by Nevada? No, it's over by, is it by Nebraska? Oklahoma? Like it's
Yeah.
somewhere, like
And somewhere in the middle.
it's just way out in the middle, and
Yeah.
they're not really
Kind of south, but not
touch with
really.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody knows where Oklahoma is.
So the powerful explosion blew off the building's entire north wall. Emergency crews raced to Oklahoma from across the country, and when the rescue effort finally ended 2 weeks later, the death
2
toll.
weeks?
Yep. The death
Oh.
toll stood at 168 people. The blast was heard over 50 miles away,
Oh my gosh.
and it caused tiles to fall from ceilings in buildings up to 3 miles away.
Oh
So
my gosh.
they could hear the blast over 50 miles away, and the buildings were shaking and things up to 3 miles
That's
away.
insane. I did not know that. So
Yeah.
that's the thing with this. When I first knew you were doing this, I was kind of like, oh, that's so
Yeah.
popular. But at the same time,
There's stuff.
I
There's
don't
lots
know.
of stuff.
I really don't know much about it, except
Right.
I mean, I know it was Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah.
I know he was a white guy, and he was a piece of shit, of course.
Yes.
But that's probably the extent of, like you said, I went about my day. I was
Yep.
like, oh, it's
That's
Oklahoma. It's almost the same as,
Mm-hmm.
we hear about all this horrible stuff going on in Syria, and we all just go about our day.
That's right.
because
But this was in
Syria's-
America.
Syria's nothing, but Oklahoma is like right behind Syria in my mind because it's just so far. It's
Yeah.
far away to me. I don't even know where it is. It's like
Yeah.
a foreign land.
So the list of the deceased included 19 young children.
Yes, the
who were
daycare.
in the building's daycare
There's
center
a
at the
daycare.
time.
I do remember
and
that being devastating.
Well, that asshole parked the truck right on that wall right below the daycare. Only 6 children survived.
Do you think he
in
knew
the whole
there was a daycare there?
He did. He had weeks before he took a tour of the building.
Oh, so he knew.
And was asking where
he was trying
he did.
to
He wanted
kill
to.
children.
He wanted to get as many casualties as possible. That's why he did it at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
when people were going to be in the building, not in the middle of the night. More than 800 other people were injured in the bombing, which damaged or destroyed over 300 buildings in the immediate area.
Oh gosh, 300.
McVeigh was a big Star Wars nerd, and he fancied himself as like a Luke Skywalker, and that the loss of the innocent life, he said that was like blowing up the Death Star, and that if you work in the Death Star, you might be innocent in your own life, but you're just a casualty of the greater good kind of thing.
Oh, because like the government, you said the government was evil?
Yes. There was
Which,
one victim.
the government is evil, but it doesn't mean you kill all those people.
Well, not in the way he thought, though. It was all, he was just an NRA nut, and it was all about guns for him that they were taking away because the Brady bill had passed recently.
Really? That's what
and
his motivation
was? It was all about guns.
He really thought people were taking his guns.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, how relevant today. Crazy.
So one of the victims, Dana Bradley, was at the Social Security office to get her newborn son a Social Security card. And she was there with her son, her mother, brother, and sister. And her mother, brother, and her newborn son were killed. And her sister was badly burned. And she got trapped under the rubble. And to get free, her leg had to be amputated with a pocket knife.
Oh, my God.
Because the guy...
She amputated herself?
No, there was a surgeon came, but they couldn't... the scalpel... I can't remember what the story was, but he had to use a pocket knife because he had to get through. The scalpel didn't work. Yeah, I know. So
This is awful.
rescue attempts took 2 weeks. Most of the deaths could have been prevented with an inexpensive upgrade to the construction. So they used when they constructed the building, they used a cheaper material.
Yeah.
And if they would have used rebar, which is a more expensive, but it's just a few dollars more, they would have saved a lot of lives if they would have done that. But they didn't.
But
they used cheaper material, and one of the city planners knew and was like, even warned officials and said that this building is not safe. That something could happen.
Holy crap.
So a massive hunt for the bombing suspects ensued, and on April 21st, an eyewitness description led authorities to charge Timothy McVeigh, who was a former U.S. Army soldier, in the case.
He was a U.S. Army soldier.
He was. And we'll get into
his gun nut.
We'll get into his past. So as it turned out, he was already in jail because he was stopped a little more than an hour after the bombing. He was stopped for a traffic violation.
What?
Yeah.
So he was already in jail?
He parked the truck.
Right.
Then he went to his getaway car.
Yeah.
Which there's speculation that there was another accomplice because
maybe he was the accomplice
for him to get to the
OJ.
getaway car. He was driving and he got stopped and
he was driving in the getaway car?
Yeah, and he got stopped and he had a handgun on him that was not licensed, and so they arrested him for that. And they didn't know when they arrested him.
Wait. You're saying they arrested him right after the bombing?
Right after hours.
Police,
more than an
hours
hour.
after.
A little more than an hour
after the bombing.
They arrested him.
Police were just going about their business, not thinking he had anything to do with this.
Right.
They were just like, oh, this guy's speeding.
Yep.
And he's got a gun. Let's arrest this guy. So they didn't know that they caught the killer, the mastermind of the Oklahoma City bombing?
Yes. And
I had no idea
they were going to release him from jail.
What?
But the rear axle of the truck, which flew off when it exploded, right? The rear axle flew off and it hit a car full of people and killed them. And they had that, and the VIN number.
The rear axle of the
Ryder truck had flown off when it exploded. And it had hit a car and killed a bunch of people. And but it had the VIN number on it. So the police got the VIN number and they tracked it to the rental place.
Right.
And it was registered to this Robert Kling, which was an alias McVeigh used.
Yeah.
And when they went, there was an unknown man with him when he went to get the truck. And this man that was supposed to be this olive-skinned man.
When he rented the truck.
Right. And that is John Doe. They call him John Doe. They never have identified.
They still don't know who this guy is?
They still don't know.
To this day?
To this day.
What?
So he had also checked into a hotel, and this woman at the hotel recognized the sketch.
Wait. Who checked into the hotel?
McVeigh had,
or
before the bombing,
yeah?
McVeigh had checked into a hotel and used his own name.
Oh, what a dumbass.
And this woman that worked at the hotel recognized the sketch, and he had used his own name to check into the room. So they're getting ready to release him from jail, and then all this information comes in that they're like, oh.
Before they release him.
Yeah. Which is really good luck, because if they would have released him, it would have been another Waco situation where he would have holed himself up somewhere with all his guns, and it would have been a big issue. Huh. So that same day, Terry Nichols, who was an associate of McVeigh's, surrendered in Harrington, Kansas. He was
no, Terry Nichols. I remember that.
Remember
so
that?
Was he the olive skin guy?
no, he's somebody else. He was his co-conspirator. The olive skin guy is a third unknown.
You still don't know who he is.
No.
Well,
So-
crap, could have been my stepdad. He's olive skin.
Both men were found to be members of a radical right-wing survivalist group was based in Michigan. And then on August 8th, Michael Fortier, who knew of McVeigh's plan to bomb the federal building, agreed to testify against McVeigh and Nichols in exchange for a reduced sentence. So he was going to be charged because he knew about it, and he didn't do anything about it.
He didn't plan it either.
He
He,
didn't-
wasn't part of the planning. He just
Not that I
knew.
know of. But 2 days later, McVeigh and Nichols were indicted on charges of murder and unlawful use of explosives. So who was Timothy McVeigh? So while he was still in his teens, McVeigh, who was raised in Western New York, which is weird to me because I would have thought he would have been in the South,
Really?
he acquired a penchant for guns from his grandfather, and he began homing survivalist skills that he believed would be necessary in the event of a Cold War showdown with the Soviet Union. As a child, as with a lot of serial killers and mass murderers, he had a head injury, which is a hallmark of anyone who's been a serial killer or
Really?
yeah, they
all
always
head
have
injuries?
head injuries. Yep,
So it's like
brain
the
injury.
TBI
Yeah, kind of like that. Yep,
causes this kind of behavior.
it can. Mm-hmm.
Huh? I did
So-
not know that.
His grandfather introduced him to a love of guns, which was the real reason McVeigh would eventually want to bomb the building.
What a
in-
great guy.
And in 1985, he worked at Burger King.
Oh, well,
That's where he.
that explains it. Those Whoppers.
You
I
know,
mean, making
right?
Whoppers just gets in it. Like, I went to Burger King the other day, and that guy looked like he was pissed at me.
Yeah, I was probably planning something.
Yeah.
So he graduated from high school in 1986, and then in 1988
86.
he enlisted
The
in
same
the
year
Army.
the same year that Ron Simmons started in the WWF.
All right. In 1988, he enlisted in the Army, where he was a disciplined and meticulous soldier. So he was a really good soldier. He was
Yeah.
just nuts.
Right.
While in the military, he befriended Terry Nichols. That's where they met.
Oh, we met Terry Nichols. Because Terry Nichols was a lot older.
He
than
was more than a dozen years older.
Right.
But
That's
they
12.
both
That's
were
12.
That's right, and they both were into the survivalist thing.
Yeah.
And that's when they started getting into that whole survivalist movement.
Ugh.
In early '91, McVeigh served in the Persian Gulf War.
Yeah.
He was decorated with several medals for
Desert
his
Storm, y'all.
military service. That wasn't Desert Storm. That was Desert.
The Persian Gulf was.
Was it Desert Storm or Desert Shield?
Oh, aren't those the same kind of?
No.
Did they evolve one into the other?
No, one was
91 was. Yeah, I guess you're right. There's
George
two different
Bush
ones.
Senior.
But 92 was. Well, 92 was when Hulk Hogan fought Sergeant Slaughter.
Well,
and Sergeant
we'll get
Slaughter
the
was
corrections and
an
apologies
evil
on
Iraqi.
it when we. But he
we
was.
won't.
He failed to qualify for the Special Forces program, and so he accepted the Army's offer for an early discharge and left in the fall of '91. The American military was downsizing after the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Right.
Another result of the end of the Cold War was that McVeigh shifted his ideology from a hatred of foreign communist governments to hating the U.S. government. And especially after Bill Clinton was elected in '92 and got the
Slick
Brady
Willie,
bill.
y'all.
Got the Brady bill
The
passed.
Brady bill passed. So it's weird how so many of these things are parallel.
Yep.
Like right now, there's all this stuff
Yep.
with gun control going on. And it's just like constantly history repeating.
It is.
So,
It is.
So this makes me a little nervous.
It does.
Makes me feel like this is ruffling the NRA's feathers are being ruffled
Yes,
right
it
now.
is.
So somebody out there is about to go do something like this,
Yeah.
probably.
There was also a book called The Turner Diaries, which influenced McVeigh. This was a novel, but it was
Tina Turner.
no, it was a novel, but it was outlined how to run your own militia, and it was very explicitly racist, and it became his Bible pretty much. Like he fashioned his whole life after the Turner Diaries, which is a big like radical right wing. People love this book, and it's real poorly written. It's just awful.
I worked with a guy in '95 that was a survivalist guy. You know, black mustache. We called him Hitler.
Well, it's probably not too far off.
It's terrible.
So McVeigh, Nichols, and their associates were deeply radicalized by such events as the August 1992 shootout at Ruby Ridge, Idaho,
I don't know
between
about that.
federal agents and survivalist Randy Weaver at his rural cabin. So he was holed up in his cabin with his wife and children,
Yeah.
and federal agents stormed it. They ended up killing his wife and child, and he was a big
Crazy.
he had an arsenal of weapons, stockpiled them and everything. And
was this big news?
It was, yeah. And
don't remember that.
especially amongst these radical right wing.
Oh,
It
those
was
guys
like,
knew about
and,
it.
it was between that and then when Waco happened in 93, where 75 members of the Branch Davidian sect died. Those were the two things.
Was 93? Were they crazy survivalist people too? Like gun
No,
nuts?
but they were stockpiling weapons in
They
Waco.
were?
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I
And-
didn't know. And that's the thing. Again, the internet wasn't really much of a thing yet.
Yeah.
None of this was super common knowledge like everything is now.
Yeah. Well, Waco was proof that all the conspiracy theories he'd read about in gun show pamphlets was true. So he was a gun show. Like, he would go to gun shows all the time.
Gun
And
show loopholes.
gun shows, it's, hundreds of miles of these booths with all these pamphlets about.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just feeds your brain with all of this.
You need to stockpile yourself because the government's going to take
The government's
your guns
coming to
and-
take everything,
Yeah,
and
it's so
and
crazy.
the KKK has a booth at the gun show. I mean, it's
And that's all just to make money, right?
Yeah,
All just
yeah.
to sell.
so McVeigh used those two events, Ruby Ridge and Waco, to justify his actions.
That's what motivated him to do what he did.
And he also had signed up for a trial membership with the KKK at one point,
Okay, so he's racist.
but he decided not to join them because they were more into the race thing and he was more into the gun thing, and he felt like they didn't focus enough on the guns, and he felt like they were trying to influence the youth too much or something. I don't know. So he planned his attack on the Murrah building, which had regional offices of like the DEA, the
Remind me what the,
FBI.
what's the building? What'd you say?
The Murrah building.
Murrah?
Mhm.
M-U-R-R-A-H?
AH. Yep.
Murrah building.
And it had the DEA, a federal office of the DEA, the FBI, and the ATF were all in there.
Yeah.
And the ATF was the ones who launched the raid on Waco. Most of the offices in the building were run-of-the-mill government offices.
They were
80% of the people had no connection to law enforcement at all.
Yeah, it's terrible. Kids.
So he picked April 19th, 95, because it was the 2-year anniversary of the Waco siege, the end of the Waco siege.
It was?
The
So-
Waco siege lasted for months, but the end of it that day
The
was
end of it.
April 19th.
So do you have anything about the night before and what he had planned to do all this?
No.
Because this is a good time as any to talk
Okay.
about. So the night before, he had to be getting this truck
Getting ready, getting everything ready.
building everything ready, so he's going to
Ready
get
to
up in the
roll.
morning
Yep.
and do all this. So the night before, while he's preparing the truck, on the news that night, on each network, Peter Jennings was on ABC, Tom Brokaw was on NBC, and Connie Chung was CBS. And they hosted the news. And here's the top stories. All three of them we're talking about. I could find this is on tvnews.vanderbilt.edu.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt University has a chronicling of all the top news stories and any year you want to go find.
Well, that's
they
cool.
have, and you click on each one and it tells you what the story was and why it was in the news. It's got a headline and then it tells you why.
Oh, that's pretty
And so
neat.
the big stories they were talking about on all the networks were Joe Montana's retirement, the crash of an Air Force jet in Alabama, and the feature shows scenes from the site of the crash. It was near Alexander City, Alabama, and it killed an assistant secretary of the Air Force, a general, and 6 other people.
Oh, wow.
So to me, it's fascinating to know, like, the night before a huge story,
Yeah.
because the next
Day was
20
saturated.
days was all this bombing. The next several days, that's all. The Oklahoma City bombing was the
Months.
huge months.
Yeah.
The huge news was the Oklahoma City bombing for months.
Yeah.
Because I looked at that the next night, says all of that. The night before that happened, the top news stories were Joe Montana, this Air Force jet in Alabama, the O.J. Simpson trial was
Yeah.
all over it, and a White House press conference that was not aired, but the White House press secretary, Michael McCurry, was saying that the president will challenge Congress to pass a welfare reform bill.
Okay.
That was the big news the night before. And on the late shows that night, on Jay Leno,
Yeah.
on April 18th, he had Dennis Franz and Carol Kane.
Okay.
And Letterman had David Duchovny, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Mary Chapin Carpenter.
There you
So
go.
while he's planning his bombing, those
That
things
was all
were
going on.
He had his radio jammed up to Montel Jordan going, "This is how my day went."
Probably not. It was probably
He
some-
did. No, he had that. No, he wouldn't have. He
no,
wouldn't
he
have.
wouldn't have.
He would have had some horrible
Something awful.
hatred song.
Yeah. So on June 2nd, 1997, he was convicted on all 11 counts against him. And on August
97?
Yeah.
He was convicted. Okay. So they had him in jail,
Yeah.
and he wasn't convicted until 2 years later.
Right. Wow. And on August 14th, the death penalty was formally imposed.
It was.
So the following year, Fortier, who had met McVeigh in the Army, was sentenced to 12 years in prison for failing to warn authorities about the bombing plan. He was released from prison in 2007 and entered the Witness Protection Program.
Wait, that's the guy that informed him?
No, he didn't. He's the one that knew about it, but he gave a plea deal that he would testify against them.
He testified, but he didn't warn anybody.
No, that's why he got jail time, because he knew about it.
Wait. Describe this guy again. What's his name?
Michael Fortier.
Michael Fortier.
And he was another Army buddy. And he knew about the bombing plan.
He knew about the bombing plan, and he was in witness protection in what year?
He went into the Witness Protection Program in 98.
98. And we have no idea how old he is. We'll have to look that up.
No. I'm sorry. He went into jail in 98 to serve a 12-year sentence, and in 2007 he entered the Witness Protection Program. So he's free.
Oh, we gotta look up his age, because I don't know about you, but there's like a half dozen people I've met that I'm like, I think that there's something up with that dude.
He's probably in the Witness Protection Program.
Witness Protection Program. Witness protection, because
Could
everyone
be.
knows somebody in the witness protection.
That's right. So in December 1997, Terry Nichols was found guilty on 1 count of conspiracy and 8 counts of involuntary manslaughter for killing federal law enforcement personnel, and was sentenced to life in prison.
This is going to sound frivolous, but every time you say Nichols, I instantly stop listening, and I think of those donuts that were made by Nichols Bakery that were like the 3 chocolate donuts.
That does sound stupid.
And the 3 powder donuts.
In 2004, he was tried on state charges in Oklahoma and convicted of 161 counts of first-degree murder, including fetal homicide. He received 161 consecutive life terms in prison.
So he's still in jail?
Oh, yeah.
Still alive?
Oh, yeah.
But the other McVeigh's dead.
No, he's not. Wait a minute. So in December 2000, McVeigh asked a federal judge to stop all appeals of his convictions and to set a date for his execution, because he wanted to die.
2000, he's ready to die.
Yeah, the request was granted, and on June 11th, 2001, McVeigh, at the age of 33, which is pretty young.
Whoa, he was only 33?
In 2001.
Somebody's 95, he was what? I can't do that math.
No, I can't either, but he was young.
6 years? 33? 26 or something?
Yeah.
He was only a 26-year-old kid?
Yep. He died at age 33. He died by lethal injection at the U.S. Penitentiary in Terre Haute, Indiana.
Terre Haute? What's his last meal?
It doesn't say. He was the first.
Mussels and a bunch of strawberry milkshakes.
He was the first federal prisoner to be put to death since 1963.
Here's what I think they should do. I know maybe the O.J. Simpson 100 touchdown thing wasn't as popular, but if somebody like that fucking kills a bunch of kids and shit, and he wants to die and get the death penalty, that's fine. But before we do your soft lethal injection, you killed a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to gets to line up and punch you in the balls and the face, and just
I think let him rot in jail. I think don't kill him. I think let him sit and rot and live and live and live
and to eat like 3 Cheez-Its a day.
Yeah.
And that's it, just to keep him alive. But people need to tag him in the balls. Like Brian McCartney just gets to hit him in the nuts.
In May 1995, the Murrah building was demolished for safety reasons, and the Oklahoma City National Memorial Museum later opened at the site.
Man.
And that is the story of the Oklahoma City bombing.
Wow.
Was it as boring as you thought it would be?
No, I did learn a lot.
Yeah.
And really the focus of this podcast is to learn things.
Right.
Because I didn't pay attention to that because, again, while this was happening, I was partying it up in college. I was smoking a lot of pot. I was drinking some cold ones.
We don't need to overshare.
I was playing euchre with my boys. We had a euchre chart at the House of Fun. The House of Fun.
All right,
was
we
a
don't need to
house
go
in
into
college
this. We need to wrap it up.
The theater guys lived, and it was cool. We had a lot of fun drinking coffee. Brendan Kane had Saudi Arabian pudding.
Anyway,
Brendan Kane. Just let me explain who Brendan Kane is. He's a big guy. He's a giant. He's 6'5". He's got a hairless torso, but his feet are covered in hair. He's Irish, and he won't let anybody forget it. And he's the best gibberish talker in the world. And Brad Abner lived with me then, and he died like this guy.
This isn't really what I was thinking we could end it with.
Oh, it was? That's how you wanted to end it?
No, that's not how I wanted to end it.
The House of Fun is the greatest. Do you like, at the end of the episodes, when I have a different Matt Truman song, or do you think we should pick one Matt Truman song and go?
I don't know.
Because I'm thinking if we mix it up, people get to hear that how different his songs are, that they really should purchase.
The ending is good. I like the same in the beginning. But
in the beginning, always start with the time, which is a song called Chrissy, by the way.
Yeah.
And Matt Truman's I just want everyone to know that all those songs are off one album,
Yeah.
one great album. And he's got more albums that I have
Yeah.
that I might dabble into in the next seasons.
Yeah.
But Matt Truman Ego Trip's album, Everybody's Got One.
Yeah.
I will tell you right now, every song on that album is good. Every single one. And it's available on Amazon.com. It's only like $8.
Yeah.
So
Go
just
for
shell
it.
out some cash. Help
it.
this dude out. Again, he needs to be creating music.
Yeah.
So with that, should we have Matt Truman send us out?
Let's do it. Get out of here, Chuck Berry.
Get out of here, Chuck Berry. This was episode 6, 1995. A lot of information came from, do you have any websites to quote?
It was Time, I think. Time magazine.
Time Magazine,
And there's other things. But
popculture.us, vanderbilt.edu. I think there's another one I quoted. I feel like Wikipedia. Anybody, just let us know.
Put it in the show notes.
Is there show notes?
You post in the show notes.
Where?
You post in the show notes.
Like just a
On the
little thing on the
website.
website?
Yeah.
I'll do that.
You don't have to fill it out.
Got it.
Just get on here.
Fuck out of here. Matt Truman, take it away, you son of a bitch.
I know Miami Vice.
Oh, you did.
Oh, yeah.
Don Johnson?
Crockett and Stubbs.
Crockett and
That's-
Tubbs.
That's an oldie.
Stubbs and Crockett.